I just joined Toastmasters, and we shared why I did that. It's because I just knew that was the kind of the cave I had to go into to reach a different level, go down a different path. And plus, you give your power away to other people that you, like I said, can you present for you.
Right.
Your ideas at work, and you probably deal with that.
Sure.
And people don't realize once they can overcome that and share with us when you've seen that and say to themselves, okay, you present this, all of a sudden everybody puts you at a different platform. It doesn't matter if you did a sucky job or not.
Right.
You got up there and did it. And people don't really remember all the details, you got up there. People always have their eyes on who's at the podium, right? Who's talking. And then once you start sharing your ideas and learn to perfect it over time, you just can't believe the doors that open up. You know what I'm saying? So when you're talking to somebody out there, it's still number 2 or 1 of the biggest fear. Okay, share with me why you think that still isn't being conquered at a younger level. Why is we not seeing it as a muscle you can in school? It's like put that kid up there. I don't care. Talk about his shoes or talk about his dog. What do you think on why it's still such a major fear people have?
Well, I think it'd be easy for anybody to observe this. Go into a 2nd grade class here at Hudsonville or wherever,
right,
and watch the kids interact. And the teacher asks them something, and they're raising their hands, and they're having a lot of fun, and they're all sort of trying to figure out their roles, and then go into a 4th grade room, and you won't see any of that.
Well, what happened?
Well, they feel embarrassed because, okay, how much is 10 plus 6? 14! Now that kid's going to get teased mercilessly on the playground. Even the teacher might unknowingly shame that student. Oh, wrong again, Billy. And that's what happens. The kids learn to shut their mouths because it's not safe. And so what I say to people is, you can go and practice Toastmasters or practice speaking in front of the mirror all you want to, but if you have to go and speak in an environment where you don't feel safe, then that fear is going to be difficult to overcome. And so my new workshop is around attuning, and that is attuning to you, attuning to what it is inside of you that you want to express. And if I'm a coach, then I need to attune with you around what it is that you want and what it is that I can do to help you get that. So I can't just come out with a plan and say, all my coaching students get this, follow this, and you'll be successful. That's not how it works. As a coach or as even a salesperson, I want you to be my customer and buy my service or buy my product or whatever the case might be. I need to understand how you're going to interact with this product or this service, why it is you want it, what strategy are you trying to fulfill by buying this or using this or whatever the case might be. And then when it comes to therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, whatever the case might be, they're sitting across the table or in a chair with people that have needs, and they want to be more healthy. They want to be less conflicted, whatever it is that they want. They might want to work past an addiction that they're in. Well, the therapist can't just sit here and say, well, I hear you want to work through your addiction. But frankly, and I love therapists, I love counselors, I love the job that they do to help people, but when you've heard 35 times from 35 different clients what their need is, it's hard to attune with each one of them because I have to maintain my role. I have to maintain that I'm the professional here. I trust how you're going to try to help me. And in that process, sometimes clients will come in looking to have the counselor tell them what to do, like their dad or mom or something. Okay, this is what you need to do, step by step. Do this and you'll be fine. It doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work.
No.
I need to understand what your need is and what strategies you've been trying to meet it with that aren't working. And so we're going to work on the strategies. We're going to try to find different strategies, and those will come from you. If you were my client and we were sitting down there talking, and I said, so how's this interview program thing you're doing on TV? How's that working? and you say, well, I think it's going pretty good. I think it's going pretty good. I get people in there and I like talking to them, and sometimes it really flows and sometimes it doesn't. And so, I'm wondering what it is I'm doing differently. And so, can you help me so that I'm more open and I might say, okay, well, how do you approach your clients? How do you approach the people that are
enthusiastic?
Well, how are you going to learn, figure out what you're going to talk about? What is it about this client or this person you're interviewing? Of all the things I gave you here, you picked out a few things that you wanted to talk about.
I still have to look at those too.
Well, I'm just saying, of all the things that I have, those are the things you picked out. And so if you said to me, sometimes I pick out stuff and it just doesn't go well. I try to keep drawing them out and ask them, and just, I pick things that I think the audience would like to hear, but it just isn't going very well sometimes. So, how can I find better things to pick out? And I would say to you, you're picking out the things that you're interested in.
Of course.
They might not be interesting to the people out there, but they're interesting to you.
Correct.
They might not be interesting to me. You could pick things on here that you might want me to talk about, and I'd say, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Oh, I know. Let's talk about a little bit about that. Is the younger generation. I call them kind of the cafeteria generation, only because they've gone through their whole life, and pretty much we've given them hot lunches, breakfast in schools, have provided a lot of that. So these kids are used to those needs being met, having no idea where they're met.
They don't have to develop strategies.
Well, yeah. Basically.
They don't, because things are just being given to them.
Right, and they just go through and they ask, and would they have any idea? But okay, so now you're looking at somebody of my age. I'm saying 45 in the 50s now, and going out and wanting trying to get a different career, or maybe you've been downsized, or maybe you're going out there. You're being interviewed, Dr. Sorensen, with these 20-year-olds, and I'm not saying I have a lot of respect. They're young. I want them to do well.
Sure.
But to look across from you in this, you know what I mean.
Sure.
Where do I see myself in 10 years, or what kind of skill, what can you bring to the company, your skills?
When I was 20, I wasn't living with my parents. Were you? Were
No,
you still living?
I had 3 kids by then.
Right.
I was a young mother.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
So if I go out into the world as a college graduate at 22 or 23, and I don't have any strategies about how to be successful, I'm sitting at home with mom and dad. I'm still living in the bedroom upstairs.
Right.
Because mom and dad haven't helped me develop any strategies. Or what they've tried to help me do, I said, I'm not doing that. Because it's a different generation. You hear people in our generation and a little younger saying, oh, those kids, they don't have any work ethic. Oh, they're just lazy. Oh, they're all this stuff. Well, look in the frickin' mirror. Why are they like that? Because that's what you told them. You don't have to do anything. I'm just going to give you stuff. I'm just going to, here it is.
Do you think that?
Here's a new car. Here's a new bike. Here's a new computer. Here's a new phone.
Right.
I'm just giving. There's no exchange of energy.
Expectations.
Well, there's no exchange of energy. The child doesn't have to do something to receive that. So there's no exchange. And that doesn't mean the kid's got to go out and mow the lawn every weekend. You can find different ways of having that particular kind of exchange. But we haven't taught those millennials
or Gen Zs.
About exchanges. We haven't done that. And I'm not saying go back to the paradigm where you go work at General Motors for 40 years and you got a nice retirement and you got a little watch out of the deal. But now you're on disability for the rest of your life because moving those bumpers was a pretty big deal for
It was a big deal,
yeah.
My dad used to pick up refrigerators. He's had some issues too.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand that, but when you're talking, okay, real quickly, when you go into the workplace, you're dealing with the generation, how their expectations of what they should be getting,
right.
And I deal with this all the time.
Sure.
Their degrees, or they were on a team and they had all these, they had all these roles, right. And they had the success at the college level, but then you go out in the real world and it's like, you can't, Bob, Julie, they've been in these positions and whatever, right. But they see them as, they don't even have a degree, or they don't even have a 2-year degree.
Right.
I've got a master's. Well, that's up to you. That was great.
Sure.
But they come in with an expectations, and you're dealing with that in the workplace. And plus, they have a lot more. There's been a gap of skills when it comes to this.
Sure.
And I still remember telling my girlfriends, I am going to learn this because I've dealt with it 3 or 4, assistants.
And you've done a great job.
Right, doing it on myself. But you see that where the people, the world's moving so quickly. for people of our generation and older, and they have a lot of good wisdom and skills and whatever still the value, but maybe this is a little weak, but it doesn't make them irrelevant in the workplace.
No.
Right? You need some stability. One time, real quickly, and he goes, that's the one thing he noticed when he went to Burr's generation was not running the country, the younger ones, because of the technology.
Right.
And he goes, it was terrible. He goes, I couldn't get out of that country fast enough. But I love him to death, but he understood that. He goes, there was no sense of you had to watch your back every chance you get, because they were out to get what they needed.
Just imagine if everybody who is trying to develop spyware and viruses to go in and ruin computers and ruin desktop, whatever, if they would devote that energy to something positive.
But there's people out there working on trying to do that all the time.
Well, sure, but but watch TV. Fear that you're going to have your ID stolen or whatever the case might be, and that's real. People are losing their IDs to people who are out there trying to steal it. What if they turned that energy into something positive instead of that? Just think how much faster things would even be expanding than they are.
Exactly.
Because the people that figure out how to intercept WikiLeaks, the skill that you have to be able to go in and raid somebody's email server is a pretty damn good skill.
It is very good.
You've got to really understand the technology to be able to go and do that. That's one of the reasons why I like watching Criminal Minds with Penelope. She's always the one who's finding the criminals using her computer, and she'll run into somebody who's pretty good at using it, and she's trying to outmaneuver him, and she wants to be better than him. She's going to get ahead of him and all this. I mean, that's the real world right now.
We hope those are on our side and working hard to keep us safe.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, let me see if I got all my questions in here. A little about your current workshop. Yep, we're going to talk about that. So let's talk about when is that? Can people sign up?
Yeah, it's going to be June 13th and 14th here in Grand Rapids.
All right.
I'll be holding it at the Central Michigan University office up there on East Beltline. And it'll be 4 different workshops for 4 different audiences. So I'll have a 3-hour workshop for counselors and therapists. I'll have a 3-hour workshop for coaches and salespeople.
Okay.
I'll have a 4-hour or 3-hour workshop for recruiters, people who are looking for others and have to build relationships with those folks, both the customer and the individual who's looking for a job.
Okay.
And then there'll be a 3-hour that'll be more of an open session for people who want to come and learn these skills in their own personal lives. So it'll just be open to anybody, not necessarily a professional, but more of a personal avenue.
So it's going to be in a classroom setting?
Yeah.
And then you just come in and you pay a fee?
It'll be totally interactive.
It'll be a fee, and then you get this out. And so some of these you're going to be focusing on, you did give me the titles, but basically what would you like someone to walk away?
It's basically the same title. It's just going to be oriented. I'll have a little bit of tweaks with each one about how I present the information.
And how long have you been doing this type of workshop?
About 2 years.
Now, would you follow up? Like if I took your workshop, right, and I started...
Well, you will, because I'm going to let you come for free.
Well, thank you. What would we like be on, like part of... we're vested in. Would you follow up on us, how we're doing?
Absolutely.
And where, on that avenue, on how we stay on that one?
Yeah.
And does out of your class, would you... Okay, so you're teaching, real quickly, you're teaching these classes. What are you seeing at the college level of these? Are they, I mean, I know people are taking your class because they know the public speaking, but do they really realize if they can conquer this, public speaking, presenting, and polish it, how that will change everything in their life?
What I'd
do they understand that?
No.
Why don't they understand it? Because
students.
the world is visual today. You could put a good 2-minute presentation down, right?
Sure.
You could take that and you could move the lever. I always tell my younger generation, I'm like, you guys don't have to do a lot if you can work on yourself, get the public speaking, get that fear conquered. Just get up there. Look, most people don't remember half of what you say anyways. Just get up there and make your points,
if they're
right?
listening.
Right, if they're listening. But if you could do that, you could move so much faster because people are happy to hand you a leadership role. Get up there because that's what
we know
people.
that from our experience, and they are only going to learn it from their own experience. They won't take our experience as the gospel. They'll have to learn it themselves, just like we did.
Well, people aren't even, people are, to get up and say a eulogy, for your family member. I mean, what honor that would give. A lot of people don't
yeah,
do
but
that.
a 19-year-old can never imagine that he'd have to do that.
Never.
At 19, no, they would never think that they'd have to do that. Get up and do a eulogy. That's what old people do.
Well, 19, but you have some older students in there that
No,
are 30.
that's what I was going to say. I taught on campus, and so I had college-age students there in public speaking. And they're just like the college-age students I taught in Illinois for all those years. I mean, that really hasn't changed much as to how they look at college and how they look at public speaking in a college environment. But the courses I teach all over the state, I don't have college-age students. I have adults. You saw that when you came.
Yes.
So they're 30 plus. I have 30 to 50-year-olds in my class. And they get why it's important to learn how to speak. They don't want to take the course because they're afraid of the course. But once they get in there and they see that I have oriented it for them to be able to get some value out of this that they can use in their lives, as opposed to just standing up and giving your speeches so you have the experience in doing it. This is something they can actually use in their lives. And they get that because they've been in situations where they were embarrassed because of what happened and what they said or what they didn't say or how somebody reacted to them because they didn't, whatever it was. Okay.
Right.
So.
But I always tell people, like you, my daughter, my kids.
19-year-olds.
19. Okay. Well, if you,
they're not going to have Toastmasters groups in college. I'm just going to tell you that.
I'm just telling you, if I could tell anybody out there, I would take less. No, don't take this personally. I take less college courses and more public speaking courses and presenting, and you'll see your career take off.
Sure.
And I go, and if you want to become a leader, even your family, let's say you're a home mom or you're part time. Develop that skill, join your local Toastmasters or some kind of class and build that up. You will become a leader in your family, just like that. Because I don't know how many times where people are afraid to even give a toast for a wedding, or they won't give a toast to an anniversary. I get people, I'll say, okay, it's your your dad's anniversary. You want you get no.
Wedding.
Eulogy. And then that's a real big one. Or I had this real quickly,
Best
Dr.
man
Sorensen.
or maid of honor has to give a talk at the wedding.
Right. That
Terrified.
Terrified.
Yeah, and they're reading it. They wrote it down and read it.
That's okay. Just get up
Somebody else wrote it.
Just get up there, right? But I had an opportunity. I was the guest, real quickly, and it was for a final conference, and somebody was retiring that was part of this company, and it was instrumental on the growth of this company. And I'm sitting there at the table, and they pass the mic around, and I look at these young leaders. I'll get up and say something. Get up. Just say anything. Thank her. It was a female, right? And Taylor, and none of them would. Afterwards, I'm like, why didn't you not? I go, we should have, shouldn't. I'm like, this could have been this was like a national. You would have been known, right? If you would have said it, really. And it doesn't matter if you messed up or not. Just would have thanked her and for all that she contributed. I go, you would have been seen down the road as people would remember your name. And I couldn't tell that to them, and I was a guest, so of course I wasn't going to say anything. Yeah. But I mean, I just looked at them, I'm like, you don't realize those are the opportunities that come your way, that are opportunity doors open, right? And you can understand that, and that's what you tell your students, right? Yeah. So I want you, and what is the workshop called? Is it one big umbrella or
it's a tuning, basically the main introduction to a tuning.
Okay.
And so what we're going to talk about is how to get into that place of compassionate empathy with the folks that you're dealing with professionally.
Okay, and where can they go online?
Yeah,
anyway?
My website is dr-kai.com. And that's my website, and they can go on there, they'll see the schedule, they can then log on and reserve their spot.
Okay, is there anything else you would like to leave our guests with before we say goodbye today?
Come find me on LinkedIn. Come find me on LinkedIn. We had that conversation the other day.
Yeah, I share with you that how important
I am the connector.
You are very good at connecting.
I am the connector. And I'm going to send you some people from Grand Rapids that I have as links that you don't have yet. I'm going to send you their names so you can go on LinkedIn and maybe invite them to come on the show. Well,
I think it's a great opportunity. And I tell younger people, if you could use I understand social media.
If you have people out there looking at us right now who aren't on LinkedIn, that's a mistake. Get off Facebook and get on LinkedIn. LinkedIn
is where you want to go if you have a professional. And I tell the younger generation, if you could use your social media more as a tool of promoting yourself on positive stuff.
Get off Twitter. Get off Facebook.
Well, Facebook. I use Facebook a lot. But my audience, I'm looking for in my my circle of friends. But I would say the younger generation, if you could use it for a tool, like going to conferences like yourself. So if I were to hire you later down the road, and say, where is like
Oh,
adding
your
my
husband's going
assistant?
to hire me now.
Yeah, the Addie go through, right? And she, my assistant, and she could go through and she could see all of the
Sure.
things that she's been part of. And I think that says a lot more than trying to show it all, right?
Your assistant, she's out there watching us right now.
Oh,
isn't
she
Yeah.
will be.
I mean, when this airs, she'll actually be here. So
Yeah, really.
okay. So she has to attune to you. And that's why she's so good. Because she's figured out a way to attune to you. She
Right.
figures out what it is you need before you need it. She knows what you need before you know what you need because she's attuned. And so she'd be welcome to come
Exactly.
to that workshop.
That sounds
Maybe
good.
her employer would pay for her to come.
Thanks. Well, I want to thank you so
You're
much,
welcome.
Dr.
This
Sorensen,
was a
and
blast.
we'll probably have you back.
Thanks.
And I look forward to your workshop. And thank you so much for having me in front of your class. I was hoping I did okay.
You did
I got a little
great.
bit nervous.
And you had all the information that they needed. And
And it's sitting here talking to you and being a Toastmaster person, I thought he's probably looking at my ums, so's, buts, my filler words.
and I don't know that any of those students have sought out a Toastmasters meeting, but you know now that seed's been planted. And so sometime in the future, somebody's going to say, yeah, I'm a Toastmaster, and they'll know what that means. And the person will say, oh yeah, I heard about that in my speech class. Well, why don't you come to the meeting with me?
I did, right.
That's
right.
what happens. That's how it works.
Well, I had my Toastmasters meeting yesterday at the Granville Chamber, and I got 3 ums. You know, they have the If you know what that means, say it's filler words that we fill in words.
Like
That one's my favorite.
That's a big one now. It used to be now it's like.
I say that a lot too.
It's like.
I'm working on it. But anyways, you'll have to help me as I go along. Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much for being
bet.
here, and I will have you back.
Great.
And this is Pamela Keim from Breathing the Grand Show, and we will catch you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. It's one of the things. My staff said, there's no way I'm going to talk amongst the other managers.
Right.
Because they're the problem. You know what I'm saying? They're causing the problem.
So now you're into conflict wrestling.
Right. So in a management decision, you have you're trying to make everything work, right? Especially if you've been put into it where you're not good at
Ideally,
it.
you're trying to make everything
Well,
work.
yeah, right.
Ideally. I think your husband would object if everybody's trying to make it work at the management level. I don't think he'd buy that.
No, but you can always see it's always, what do you do with the companies, real quickly? It's the white elephant. I mean, it's the white elephant in the room that nobody wants to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody could, if you could secretly write it down, it's always 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Oh, absolutely. I was hired by a manager in Saginaw who worked for the county there in the health department. And he had one specific department that was being run by one man, and he had 6 associates that were working for him, and he was the problem. All 6 of them had the same issue with him. And so he hired me to come in and try to build a team, try to break down, find out what the conflicts were, get them to see if they can all work together. Well, the manager wasn't willing to do anything differently than he was doing.
Right.
And so at the end of the process, I had to sit down with my client and say, I think the only solution you're going to have here is either to fire him. We couldn't really fire him. I said, but move him to another department or find 6 new employees.
That's exactly it. I ended up
Because
leaving
he's
mine
not going to
too.
change.
Yeah.
That I'm talking about in my new workshop is around attuning, and that is attuning to you, or attuning to what it is inside of you that you want to express. And if I'm a coach, then I need to attune with you around what it is that you want and what it is that I can do to help you get that. So I can't just come out with a plan, say, all my coaching students get this, follow this, and you'll be successful. That's not how it works. As a coach or as even a salesperson, I want you to be my customer and buy my service or buy my product or whatever the case might be. I need to understand how you're going to interact with this product or this service, why it is you want it, what strategy are you trying to fulfill by buying this or using this or whatever the case might be. And then when it comes to therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, whatever the case might be, they're sitting across the table or in a chair with people that have needs. And they want to be more healthy. They want to be less conflicted. Whatever it is that they want. They might want to work past an addiction that they're in. Well,
this is Pamela Keim, the host of Breathing the Grand Show. I want to quickly say we had a great conversation with Dr. Kai Sorensen after the interview, And I'm going to include that in part 2 of this interview, only because all of us that are out there making a living, we spend so much time with our colleagues and in our workplace, more than sometimes we spend at home. So we have to build the skills, and maybe even if we're in a difficult situation, either try to correct our own behavior or build new skills so we're able to transition out of those situations. I just want you to meet some of the wonderful people in West Michigan that can help you do that, especially maybe maybe joining a Toastmasters, or especially going to Dr. Sorensen's Introduction to Attuning Workshop and learn skills that you're able to be empowered to make decisions if you're not able to change some of the situations you have in your workplace currently, or that you want to improve your livelihood. So how do you do that? You have to improve yourself. So please stay with me and watch some of the interview I had with Dr. Kai Sorensen. And in the upcoming shows that I have for Breathing the Grand Show, I want you to become neighbors with all of these wonderful people that live in West Michigan. This is Pamela Keim, and we will continue on. Take care. All right, I've got plenty of material. We might be able to make this work. But I think I asked all these questions. It was tough with your resume, for crying out loud. Well, the only reason I brought the No Limits on, I thought it was a cool title.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many years ago that was.
That was in the 90s.
90s? Okay.
And
I probably went way over, but oh well, you know. But anyways, I really want to express.
Don't blame me.
That's okay. But the expression on the public speaking.
Yeah, that's good.
But anyways, the public speaking part, and I'm telling you, again, that's what's opened up the doors. It's breaking that fear.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I still don't get the fear when I'm up there, depending on the audience. But my goal would be go in front of 200, 300 people and speak.
You have people who are watching your show every week going, I could never do that.
Yeah, that's what I hear all
And
the time.
that's where you were at one point.
Exactly.
See, that's the key.
Do you have students that come back and say, you know what, since I did your workshop, I started, becoming more brave, getting out there and opening up doors?
I have them who give me referrals.
Okay.
And they give me endorsements and those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And usually after somebody comes, I'll give them a free admission if they want to come back again. So
right.
I've had some people who have taken 2 or 3 of them. Yeah.
So that's why I tell my husband, I go, if you can get your, of course it comes down to money, but I think Toastmasters is very inexpensive compared to Dale Carnegie.
Cheap. Very
he
cheap.
used to send his team to that, and he goes, but he sees the leadership that it's given me. It somehow it just goes hand in hand. Once you start getting into public speaking, then the leadership's opportunities come, because people they're afraid, and that's one of the things.
There's a lot of corporate Toastmasters now in Michigan.
Right.
There's a lot of corporate Toastmasters clubs, because slowly, when I was district governor, we began to sponsor a few. We didn't have a lot back then, but now I think there's a lot more. I remember one started at Farm Bureau.
I always oversaw that one.
And she went on to be district governor from the original group of people that formed that club at Farm Bureau. She went on to become the district governor.
Well, there's and because everybody is so top notch in some of these positions, and so I was. This is Pamela Keim from Grand Tap Media. I want to take the opportunity to thank Dr. Kai Sorensen for coming on my show and becoming neighbors with West Michigan. If you are interested in his services, please look him up on LinkedIn. Or come to the workshop that will be held on June 13th and 14th. I will be there, and so I'm excited to learn about the introduction of attuning, because you can always improve on your communication skills, either in your family, in your organization. If you'd like to learn more about Dr. Kai Sorensen's services for either yourself or your organization, reach out to him on LinkedIn or Facebook, or go to my Facebook page to have his contact information. This is Pamela Keim, and we will see you next time on Breathe in the Grand Show. Take care.